Hey guys, Villainous Foundry here, and I kind of want to go over something that I think most people forget about Dungeons and Dragons, and that at the end of the day, it's a game, right? It might be a role-playing game, but it's a game nonetheless. And what I mean by that is most people need to have a narrative reason to change something in the game. And that's not bad in the sense of like either banning something that you don't like or think is overpowered, but don't ascribe a narrative reason to that unless that narrative reason actually makes sense and isn't hampering the fun of your party. For example, I was playing in a friend's D&D game. He was a newish DM and he wanted to start small, so he started with Horde of the Dragon Queen. And he got a couple other new players and added me to the group just to fill out. And about 8 sessions into it, the Druid player, they felt that they chose wrong with their cantrips. That the cantrips weren't either working the way they thought they would with the rulings, or that they were themselves like not up to par with what they want to do with the character. So they asked the DM, hey, can I change my cantrips into things that I actually enjoy to use? And the DM just flat out said no, mainly because you've already used those cantrips. And I think at the end of the day, the DM has the final say, but I think that isn't something that should be said no to, mainly because of the fact that the only reason why you're saying no to it is because of narrative cohesion issues, right? And that shouldn't hamper the player. You should be able to say, yeah, sure, you'll get this one chance to change it into what you're liking, and we'll go back toward, and we'll continue on. You still cast the spells earlier, and so forth. It's not new, it's just a game thing, right? And things like that are the things that I'm talking about, where it is narratively overshadows the fun that other people are having because they want to do something else or update something. Another example is on the subreddit, someone was like, hey, the new Mordenkainen book is out. It updated a lot of races. One of the races they updated is my race, which was a Water Genasi, to have like dark vision. Is there any chance I can update to that? And this DM went to the subreddit and is like, should I do this? It doesn't make narrative sense for him to suddenly get dark vision and such and things like that. And then the way it was worded was, as he was responding to comments and things, he slowly found a narrative reason to allow it, right? And I don't think that narrative aspect is important in D&D, but it shouldn't once again overshadow other things. And it continues on, and things like that is, it's not just like, oh, I made a mistake, here's the thing my character did or whatever, and it needs to be something new. It's using the narrative, your story, as an excuse to say no. And I think the difference is how impactful saying no is. If it's a small thing, like, oh, this character now has dark vision, yeah, allow it. Like, don't just wait until you find a narrative reason to allow it. It's just the smallest thing. It's, oh, now you get to see in the dark. We don't need to figure out why you weren't able to see in the dark previously. You just now are able to. And that continues on, right? Even when I'm giving my homebrew magical items, I say to my party, hey, these are homebrew magical items. They are subject to change. They are subject to change when I deem fit, if they are either abusing it in a way that I didn't account for, it's overpowered in the sense that I didn't account for, or basically any way where I made the mistake of giving them the item. And my players know this because I sit down and tell them, hey, this is what happens. And when that happens, I then talk to them and it's like, hey, I'm gonna change this, or can you not use it anymore, and things like that. I don't go out of my way and be like, oh, I'm gonna solve this narratively. I'm gonna have a thief come in and steal it, right? Without talking to the players. And that is just bad DMing in the sense of it's not gonna solve your problem. It just isn't, right? Because what's gonna happen is the player doesn't know that you're gonna steal it. So you're gonna go in, take their item, they're gonna find, oh, it's missing, and they're gonna do a long, like search for it, right? They're gonna be like, oh, is there any footprints or anything like that? And it's gonna derail your quest. And either you just say, no, there's no prints, they just disappeared, right? Or you do give them and they sidetrack your game for like 3-4 sessions. When simply you can be like, hey, this item's overpowered. Can we together figure out a way to like get it out of your hands? Is it okay if, like, say, a thief comes in and takes it in the middle of the night? Are you willing to then, breaking immersion, just let it go at that point? And it's all about just talking to your players about these things. And I guess at the end of the day, it's just talking and not assuming and not trying to just pigeonhole yourself and just, oh, it's an RPG game. Let's just do RPG stuff. Let's solve all problems. All problems have to be solved narratively. When it's super easy, just say, yes, that's it. And you don't have to elaborate on it, right? It's super easy to just be like, oh, that just happens. This isn't to say that you can't have, like, narrative problem solving or narrative reasons to not allow something. It's just, it needs to be a thought out reason that it's not just off the cuff. Like banning elves as in your session 0 and saying, hey, there are no elves, there are no paladins because of that there's just no elves. Elves don't exist in my world, and paladins can't get their oaths through magical means. And while that does limit your players, I wouldn't say it limits their fun, because they can always choose a different character or class to play and still have fun. That this option that they weren't even allowed, they'll still have the same amount of fun. And it's different between that and like allowing the druid to change cantrips, in the sense of like they're playing this character and they're not having fun playing this character anymore. I think the biggest thing is figuring out how you would handle, like, say, a player coming to you and being like, hey, I really like my character, I don't like the class, right? Is there a way that I can just drop all my fighter levels and pick up like Paladin? Now, you can say no, that isn't how D&D works, you're stuck with that. If you want to play Paladin, you have to get rid of that character and bring in a Paladin, have to make a new backstory and stuff like that. Or you can just say, yes, you can drop all your fighter levels and pick up Paladin. It doesn't really, as long as you're having fun, I'm willing to help you have fun. And I guess this is just a very long ramble. But yeah, just let your players have fun. If you're being limited by the narrative of like allowing something small and minuscule like the dark vision or cantrips being changed out. Now, don't get me wrong, if your player is coming and telling you, hey, I want to change my cantrips every like 3 sessions, yes, that's a problem. But like once in a campaign isn't. And same with all of this. it's how often they're asking for it, and B, how small effect it is on the game itself, right? Like, honestly, it's basically a game, guys. Play it as a game. Well, anyways, that's my small rant. New videos out soon. Take care. Have a good holiday. Thanks for subscribing and liking and enjoying my content. Some new videos might be coming out soon. Take care.